Joined now by someone who knows a lot about investigations like this, because Matt Murphy is the former senior deputy DA in Orange County, California, and successfully prosecuted dozens of murder cases there. He's also the author of the book of Murder, A Prosecutor's Journey Through Love and Death. Matt, I have been knocking on your door for days now, wanting to have this conversation with you, because I am surprised there hasn't been an arrest yet, and I wanted to know if you are.
Well, they're taking their time, Ashleigh, which is exactly what they should be doing. And there's a lot to untangle here. And it's important to remember he's presumed innocent, right? And we know, based on past history, there are juries in LA that will entertain absolutely insane defense theories. And so they're crossing their T's and dotting their I's, and they're being methodical, which is exactly what they should be doing. And I anticipate it's going to be a little while. Okay, so there are a multitude of potential crimes, as you just hit on. Number one, a 13-year-old there's a line under California law for any sexual contact. And again, it's speculative at this point. We don't know. The information hasn't come out. But there's a big line between 13 and 14. 13 is 288A of the California Penal Code, which is essentially any lewd contact with a minor, 13 or under. So that's a big deal. 14 also, it's 288C. So depending on just the nature of the relationship itself, before we even get to the homicide, he's being investigated right now. And apparently they went in there. Some of the things that we're seeing coming out of that house were things like computers and tablets. And that's exactly what they should be looking for. And right now, probably as we speak, there's some overworked, underpaid forensic technologist who's going through cell phones and computers and looking for any evidence of that relationship. Another thing that's interesting here is, we've talked about this before, Ashleigh. We have the information that's come out from the LAPD, which has been minimal, right? And it should be minimal right now. They have to be very careful about the information they release. But this is a murder potentially a murder in the modern era. And the reason I say potentially, we don't have a cause of death yet. And I've had cases where we thought somebody was murdered and it turned out later it was an OD. We had one once where the person committed suicide, it turned out. So we don't know yet. Now, she was dismembered, certainly didn't do that to herself, but we don't know from the coroner's office yet exactly if they have a cause of death, what it was. We don't know. And I'm going to suspect a dismembered, heavily decomposed body like that, it's going to be tough to tell. There are certain telltale signs depending on what was in there, what they actually recovered. But at this point, we don't know. But the really interesting part about this to me is the online sleuthing. And that there can be a lot of bad that goes along with that. But some of this is really interesting here. You wrote a song called Romantic Homicide. Now, that was long before she was killed. Or died, but the online part is really interesting. All these videos that keep popping up where it shows this young woman that looks like her.
It is, and I got to be honest with you. I have so many questions for you, like millions, literally. I wanted to ask you a second ago about the lewd behavior or the lewd connection to a teenager who's 13 or 14, and I just want to get this on the record real quickly. Does that mean online behavior, or does that mean physical behavior?
That's a really good question. There are circumstances where online behavior alone between a 13 or under child and an adult can constitute a completed child molest. In other words, if they're sexting or somebody is directing a child to perform certain acts online, I've prosecuted those before where that counts as a completed child molest, even if they haven't met and even if there's no physical contact.
Interesting, because those tablets and those electronics and the forensic person you said is woefully underpaid. Hopefully, we'll be able to determine if that is an issue in this particular case, because there's a lot of speculation about it. And to that speculation, Matt, it is like you've seen the documentary "Don't F with Cats," where literally the online community solves a serial killer's crime. And in this particular case, there are so many theories that people are positing about what might have happened to Celeste. Maybe she was pregnant and it wasn't news that was well accepted. Maybe she OD'd. Maybe it's someone in the entourage. All these different theories. My question to you, as someone who's in the business of solving these crimes and prosecuting them, are the police doing the same thing that the online community is doing, running down all of these different theories?
Yes. And these are these are good cops at LAPD. They were woefully underserved by the previous district attorney of LA County. And also, keep in mind, the LAPD is operating under woeful budget cuts by the city of Los Angeles. But I think in this one, given the high-profile nature, they're devoting the resources and they're doing it right. And the detectives, I've worked with this unit before, and these are hard-hitting, no-nonsense women and men at the LAPD who know what they're doing. So they're doing all of that stuff. They're going through the computers. They have forensically worked up that house, probably top to bottom. They're looking for her DNA. They're looking on any instruments that may have been used to dismember her. I've already seen some of the conspiracy theories come out, and one of the questions I saw is, who would be stupid enough to put the dead body in the trunk of their own car? And the answer to that is most murderers. Most people, especially when they kill for the first time, make a million mistakes. And this would be a really bad one. Another thing that's interesting is I'm personally curious about, if the car was parked, and it was apparently 1 minute away from the home there that we're seeing. It was not taken far away. We heard about all these vandalism cases against Teslas in the recent news. With all the cameras that are on Teslas, I'm very curious to see if there's an actual video on the data recorder of that car that shows who the driver was. That's something that's going to be interesting. But I think that what's happening, in addition to the forensic stuff right now, is they are doing gumshoe police work, and they are interviewing every single person they can find that was in his orbit, that knew about their relationship, what the circumstances were, if any. And it certainly sounds, I mean, there's a lot of circumstantial evidence right now indicating that there had been some sort of close relationship between them, perhaps romantic. It certainly looks that way. But right now, again, the LAPD is putting it together, and we're going to see a lot of these pieces probably fit together here pretty soon.
I have 20 seconds, but I've got to get you on the record here. If they can't come up with a cause of death, is that brutal for this case?
No, you can still prosecute. If you can certainly prosecute. I mean, I did 5 no body cases where we had no exact cause of death either. So you can certainly do it. But it does throw a wrinkle in there. If you've just got a decomposed, torso, or depending on what's available, what I would be asking if I was them is the hyoid bone. That's a bone in the neck that's consistent with strangulation. That's something that doesn't go away with decomposition. I'm sure they're looking at that. If it's true that her head was recovered, they can find what's called petechial hemorrhaging in her eyes, indicating strangulation. Bones will leave marks concerning stabbing. So the forensic pathology here is going to be very interesting. And again, the coroners in LA County are the real deal. They know what they're doing. So we'll have to see.
And let's hope, let's hope that they do all the toxicology tests that might indicate whether it's a drug overdose as well, because like you said before, that is entirely possible. You and I have to have a longer conversation, my friend, but I got a hard break coming at me. Thank you so much for doing this. I really appreciate it.
Happy to anytime, Ashleigh. Thank you so much.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our NewsNation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.